They're not always that extreme though. You've got, like, you're great friends with Arnold. And did that all start on True Lies, which is
first of
arguably
all,
the greatest action
I
movie of
have
all time?
I have the same three best friends I grew up with in Tumwild. And I always tell people that in life you need to have three guys, three people, three friends, men, women, who will bail you out of jail naked, no questions asked. And because that's what happened. That's why I lost a job at the meatpack plant. People are always like, how do I get a job and not get fired? I go, get the crappiest job you can. There are some jobs where people, like on the kill floor of meatpack plant, you got to do some stuff to get before they'll fire you. And but I eventually did. I called in sick because I started going to community college. I consider myself a student. I wanted to have the college experience. Called in sick to Orville, and then there was a college party, a community college party. I started community college before. And so that party got over about 80. The average age of a person at community college is like 61. You know, the party's over at 8. My buddies are at University of Iowa going, and I was like, that was not satisfying. And so I said to my two friends, we got to do something college-y before we go back to the dorm. Let's streak. And this is 1980, 81. Streaky had just got to Iowa. It's probably up here in the 60s, but it just got to Iowa. And so we went down to Mr. Quick's, our little restaurant downtown. Three big fat guys with their underwear on their head, right in there naked, jump on the table. There's nobody there. Like the chef didn't even come out of the back. I'm like, okay, that doesn't count. And so that was disappointing. And so I said, but I know where there are people. Jefferson Square Manor, because we knew all the nurses that worked out. Not the old folks, we're not perverts. We were gonna run naked through there for the nurses. And because we're like, they'll love that. Turns out they did not love that. I tell you, that's a thing. Guys do that a lot. Oh, sure, no. And the cops had already been called, so they were waiting when we came busting out of there. And then the three of us jump in the back of the car, try to put our shorts on, and we're rubbing. And the cops are surrounded us, so I know we're arrested. So I'm like, okay, you guys do that. I'm gonna get out of the car and put on my underwear like a human being. And the cop grabbed me and handcuffed me behind my back before I could do it. And it's Iowa in December. It's not a pleasant time. Everybody I knew drove by. It was Main Street. And the next, I went to jail, and that was it for Orville. If you get arrested for public nudity in a small town, it will be in the newspaper. And your boss will read it. And so that's how I lost my job. But losing that job was a very positive thing. My grandmother said, oh my God, if you had benefits, you'll never get a job that good, But losing it was a good thing. And I don't know what I'm talking about. What was I talking about?
We were talking just about some of your other friends, like Arnie and things like that.
Arnold Schwarzenegger is a great guy. We actually met before True Lies, and when I heard they were making True Lies and looking for the character I played, they were seeing a lot of great actors. And our agent called one day. My agent said, hey, Jim Cameron wants to meet with you about this part. I go, and I knew that's bullshit. I go, here's what happened. The William Morris agency thought Roseanne and I were leaving the agency. So they're like, we got to do some kind of thing to act like we're on top of this. And so I said, I know what you did. You called Jim Cameron and said, we do a lot of business with you, Jim, here at William Morris. We need you to do us a favor and meet with this a-hole. And it was a mercy meeting. It was embarrassing. I almost didn't go because I knew what it was. Like, it's embarrassing. But I thought, I'm going to go to this thing because this will be my opportunity to meet James Cameron. And I'm a huge fan of his. So I go in there. He's very nice dude. We chit-chat, a while. And then he's like, okay, do the scene. I go, yeah, the scene. I didn't even read it because I know I'm not going to get the movie. And it seems like a lot less disappointment if you don't even try. That's the lesson I teach my kids. But he's like, wow. Well, it's 3 pages. Here's the script. Just read it to me. And so I read this scene once, and he was like, that's pretty good. And he said, get Arnold down here. I didn't know Arnold Schwarzenegger was up in the loft. And it's Arnold Schwarzenegger is walking down the stairs. First of all, you're like, God, that's freaking Arnold Schwarzenegger, dude. And Jim Cameron said later, the reason he cast me in movies because when we were watching Arnold walk down the stairs, I said to him, I can take him. This is true. But man, it just clicked, and I'll tell you.
They fought for you, right?
Yeah.
Like I heard they had fought, like Jim Cameron and Arnold both fought for you.
No.
That's not true?
No. I mean, there was things. There were sayings. But I have to say, Jim Cameron fought for me, and because I didn't know this till the movie came out. But after our meeting, first of all, he said, "You got the part. Don't tell anyone for 2 weeks." And I was like, "Yeah, I swear to God, I won't tell anyone the best news of my life for 2 weeks." And so I got to the car, I started calling people, and my own wife thought I was back on drugs. And she's like, "That's crazy." And I even looked at myself in the mirror that night, like, that is crazy. Maybe that didn't happen. And why would he ask me to wait 2 weeks? Well, he had to go to Fox Studio, because at the time, True Lies is the biggest, most expensive movie ever made, and give them the great news. "Hey, I found the third guy after Jamie Lee and Arnold. We're going to start filming." "Well, that's great news, Jim Cameron. Who is it?" He goes, "It's Tom Arnold." They're like, "Yeah, that's horrible news, Jim Cameron." And he's like, "Why do you say that?" They go, "Don't you read the tabloids? I mean, he's a crazy person, you know." And then Jim Cameron's like, "No, I don't read the tabloids, but I wrote this movie, and he's the guy." And they're like, "Well, we're sorry, Jim, but we cannot approve Tom Arnold for this movie." And he's like, No, I'm the one that's sorry, because I wanted to make the movie here at Fox. Now I'm going to walk across the street and make it Paramount." And they were like, "Okay, we'll give him a chance." Like, I didn't know. I was on like probation. The Fox execs would come to set, and I'd be hugging them and telling them thank you for picking me, and they just waited for me to mess up. And Roseanne and I's divorce was during the time we were filming. It was a big deal. And I remember everybody said, "He will never work again." He wrote a